Cannabis Common Sense, the show that tells the truth about marijuana and the politics behind its prohibition.
Hello and welcome to another exciting edition of Cannabis Common Sense. Our show is a production of our nonprofit organization, the Hemp and Cannabis Foundation, and its affiliated political committee, Campaign for the Restoration and Regulation of Hemp. We have another exciting show for you tonight. We have Mr. Tim Pate is here, as is Don Dupay and Chris Iverson. Tim Pate will be providing musical accompaniment, and Don Dupay and Chris Iverson will be joining me to take your phone calls a little bit later on. We have a segment of hemp news, several interesting stories from around the country regarding cannabis and hemp, and then a film clip from George Cervantes, who used to live here in Portland where we filmed this show. George Cervantes writes a column on cannabis cultivation in High Times Magazine. He's published a book, Indoor Marijuana Horticulture, and Indoor and Outdoor Marijuana Horticulture. He's got a new DVD out, and we've got permission to use it, so we'll be playing clips off of it this week and on future shows. So without further ado, though, let's bring on our infamous Dancing Cannabis Leaves. All right, this is our hemp news segment. Tonight's news first story comes from New Mexico. The New Mexico legislature has approved a new medical marijuana bill. From Santa Fe, the New Mexico legislature approved legislation this week that seeks to establish a statewide medicinal cannabis distribution program. Last week on the news, we talked about how it had been stopped and voted against on Friday, but on Saturday, Governor Bill Richardson of New Mexico got a House quorum together and they voted it in. So on Tuesday, the House of Representatives approved Senate Bill 523, a substitute bill that is virtually identical to the Lynn and Aaron Compassionate Use Act. House members had narrowly rejected a similar proposal last week. On Wednesday, the Senate concurred with a minor House floor amendment, sending the bill to the governor for his approval. As proposed, Senate Bill 523 mandates that the State Department of Health, by October 1st, 2007, promulgate rules governing the use and distribution of medical cannabis to state-authorized patients. These rules shall address the creation of state-licensed cannabis production facilities, the development of a confidential patient registry, and a state-authorized marijuana distribution system, and, quote, define the amount of cannabis that's necessary to constitute an adequate supply, end quote, for qualified patients. Governor Bill Richardson, who worked closely with the House to persuade members to reconsider the bill, is expected to sign the measure into law. Richardson said, quote, this bill will provide much-needed relief for New Mexicans suffering from debilitating diseases while including the proper safeguards to prevent abuse. I'm pleased that the legislature did the right thing, reconsidering this important measure and supported a humane option for New Mexicans who endure some of the most painful diseases imaginable, end quote. If approved, New Mexico will become the 12th state to enact medical marijuana legislation since 1996, though it will be only the 4th to do so legislatively through the legislature. Reading through the bill, currently has some pretty unusual definitions in it. It says that cannabis can only be used topically. That means on your skin. It doesn't provide for the use of cannabis as an inhaled substance or for ingestion. So I find that a pretty odd use of it. It also requires that first you get a doctor's recommendation, then a state board will review the doctor's recommendation. And if they approve the doctor's recommendation, then they'll issue a 90-day license. So the New Mexico law proposes that patients have to go in and see both their doctor and this state medical board 4 times a year. So it's not the best medical bill, but it's the one that got through the legislature there, and we'll see how the whether the governor signs it into law. He's a presidential candidate for the Democratic nomination for U.S. President, and represents Hispanic population down there in New Mexico. Our next story is from Pasadena, California. The Ninth Circuit says there's no fundamental right to use cannabis to ease suffering. The physician-approved use of cannabis to, quote, preserve bodily integrity, avoid intolerable pain, and preserve life, end quote, is not a constitutionally protected right, the Ninth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals ruled this week. The ruling rejects an appeal by California patient Angel McClary Raich, who sought injunctive relief from criminal prosecution for her use of cannabis in accordance with California state law. The United States Supreme Court in 2005 ordered the Ninth Circuit on remand to address McClary Raich's arguments that the Federal Enforcement of the Controlled Substances Act, or CSA, in California violated her constitutional liberties. The court opined that enforcement of the CSA did not violate the plaintiff's substantive due process. The court ruled, quote, we agree with Raich that medical and conventional wisdom that recognizes the use of marijuana for medical purposes is gaining traction in the law, but that legal recognition has not yet reached the point where a conclusion can be drawn that the right to use medical marijuana is fundamental and implicit in the concept of ordered liberty, end quote. The court also rejected the plaintiff's contention that enforcement of the CSA infringes upon the sovereign police powers of the state of California. Although the Ninth Circuit did determine that McClary Raich's use of medicinal cannabis would most likely qualify her to raise the defense of medical necessity if prosecuted, it ruled that the necessity defense does not provide a proper basis for injunctive relief, end quote. Basically, they said she couldn't just sue the government if she's not being prosecuted. Anyway, that's the way that ruling came out. We'll look to the courts for further clarification in future cases. From Olympia, Washington. Weeks after a grower, Steve Sarich, startled lawmakers by unveiling half a dozen pot seedlings in the middle of a legislative hearing, the Senate approved a bill Wednesday revamping the rules on medical marijuana in Washington. According to Senator Jean Cole Wells, a Democrat of Seattle and the sponsor of the bill, this bill will provide some needed clarifications to the police, patients, physicians, and growers, end quote. Senator Cheryl Flung, a Republican from Maple Valley, Washington, says, quote, it was clear from the hearing that there are some abuses that are taking place as a result of the initiative. This bill helps deal with those who are poised to take advantage of a gray area, end quote, she said, in a rather demagogic way, I might add. Under 1998's Initiative 692, terminally or seriously ill patients can use cannabis if a doctor thinks it'll help. At legislative hearings, patients testified that smoking or eating cannabis could help quell chemotherapy and nausea, ease pain, and spur hunger at a time when patients were dangerously thin. A longtime advocate is Senator Bob McClaskey, a Republican from Spokane Valley. He said it's hypocritical for the federal government to have subsidized tobacco for years, for the state to be selling liquor, and, quote, we're concerned about dying patient or one with a debilitating disease smoking marijuana. McClaskey told his fellow lawmakers Wednesday, I believe anyone dying is entitled to anything, whether it's legal or illegal. I watched my wife die over a period of 8 years with cancer, and many of you watched your loved ones die. In my opinion, they're entitled to anything they want, end quote. Senate Bill 6032 is an attempt to more clearly spell out the role of physicians, clarify who can grow and process marijuana, and what law enforcement can do to ensure that a person is a legitimate medical marijuana patient. One thing that it doesn't and can't do, however, is repeal the fact that the federal government ignores state laws recognizing medical marijuana. At the hearing, several of the patients who testified had been raided by federally funded drug task forces. The U.S. Supreme Court in 2005 ruled that medical marijuana users can be prosecuted, or persecuted more likely, for breaking federal laws even if they live in a state where the drug's legal with the doctor's approval. And on Wednesday, the Ninth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals ruled against the very same California woman, Angel Raich, whose doctor said that marijuana is the only drug keeping her alive. So this bill is a positive move. It's come out of the Senate, and now it's got about 2 weeks to pass the House. We urge our viewers, especially those in Washington State, to contact your state legislators in Olympia, Washington, and urge them to support Senate Bill 6032. Senate Bill 6032 will help protect patients who are currently being arrested in Washington, even though they have a doctor's recommendation, and will set up the state health department to set a limit on the amount, or a presumptive limit, which basically means a non-binding limit by the state health department. That is an article partially from the Spokane Spokesman Review, written by Richard Rosier on March 15th, just yesterday. Our last story tonight talks about the American Academy of Pediatrics slamming random student drug testing policies. Tests are ineffective, not backed by physicians, and may push teens toward the use of dangerous drugs and alcohol. Federally funded random student drug testing policies are neither safe nor effective and should not be utilized in public middle schools or high schools, according to recommendations by the American Academy of Pediatrics Committee on Substance Abuse and Council on School Health. The committee's recommendations appear in the March 2007 issue of the journal Pediatrics. The committee reported, quote, "Currently there is little evidence of the effectiveness of school-based drug testing in scientific literature." It noted that the student athletes forced to submit to random drug testing experienced an increase in known risk factors for drug use and a poor attitudes toward the school, end quote. The committee also reported that the largest observational study to assess the efficacy of student drug testing found, quote, "no association between school-based drug testing and students' report of drug use," end quote. The committee further determined that standard drug tests do not detect many of the substances most frequently abused by adolescents, including alcohol, ecstasy, or inhalants. That mandatory drug testing may motivate adolescents to switch from using drugs with relatively low morbidity and mortality, such as marijuana, to those that pose greater dangers, such as inhalants, but are undetectable by screening tests. The widespread implementation of drug testing may also inadvertently encourage more students to abuse alcohol, which is associated with greater number of adolescent drug deaths than any other illicit drug. So that story is available in the journal Pediatrics. It's called Testing for Drugs of Abuse in Children and Adolescents, and it's available online at pediatrics.org. That's the end of our Hemp News segment tonight. We are now going to hear from the melodious Tim Pate. Hey, Tim, how's it going tonight?
I'm very melodious. How are you?
Very well, very well.
Good. You know, I've met Angel Rach, and
I am just, me too.
I'm stunned that, you know, every time I see her, she's just smaller and thinner and sicker and weaker, and you know, my heart goes out to her. I know that every time she has to go through this battle, it just takes a little more out of her. And you know, I wish that they would find a solution for her that would help her get some peace and comfort of life.
Well, she's certainly fighting the good fight.
She is, and I support her in everything that they're doing, and you know, I just wish them well.
Me too.
Anyway, I think I'll do a song that I wrote about Jack Hare.
All right. That sounds appropriate.
Well, come climb the mountain with me. Come see what we can see. Come climb the mountain with me, and then we will all be free. Some men are born to lead, some men have destiny. Some men plant the seed, some men set it free. So come climb the mountain with me, come see what you can see. Come climb the mountain with me, and then we'll all be free. One man's voice was clear, one man said we must hear. One man heard the call, his vision speaks for all. So come open your eyes with me, and I'm sure that you will see. It's time for the world to know the emperor wears no clothes. Come open your eyes with me, it's time for you to see. It's time for the world to know the emperor wears no clothes. The emperor wears no clothes. The emperor wears no clothes. The emperor wears no clothes.
All right, thank you, Tim.
You're welcome, Paul.
Okay, so I'd like to introduce Mr. Don Dupay and Chris Iverson. How are you doing this week, Don?
I'm great, Paul.
And how are you, Chris?
Wonderful, thank you. Glad to be back.
He was talking just a moment, and we read the story about Angel Rach. Last time I saw her husband, Ron, I think was at your cannabis farm in Switzerland back
many years ago,
back.
right, before all this turmoil went into her life.
That was a lot of fun. The way the Swiss law works is, I guess, it was basically legal for about 5 years there in Switzerland.
About 10, almost.
Really? They had an initiative, and basically, I guess it became law as soon as they turned in enough signatures, but then it took more than 5 years for it to come to a vote. And when it finally did come to a vote in 2002, it was voted down by a narrow margin.
Right.
So it was legal for an incredible period of time. I felt like I've seen the promised land. I'm hoping I'm going to get there with you folks. But
thankfully, we heavily documented that experience, so we can at least show pictures of it and hopefully inspire others to visualize this future for all of us.
Yeah. Well, it is March 16th, the Ides of March, and we are taking your phone calls tonight. If you have a question for us, give us a call at 503-288-9990, or no, 503-288-4448. That's 503-288-4448. And we do have a call. Hello, caller.
Hey, Paul, Don, Chris, this is Radical Russ. How you doing, guys?
Hey.
Russ, buddy.
Good to hear from you, Russ.
I'll keep it brief. I'm just kind of doing a little bit of promotion for the radio show. I have a live radio show on KPOJ,
Air America
620, Air America station here in Portland on Sunday night. This Sunday at 7 o'clock. So I've been inviting all of the cannabis community to listen in. I'm definitely going to be covering the Raich decision, the decision there with Ed Rosenthal, his convictions being, those malicious prosecutions they were doing.
Yeah.
And of course, New Mexico with the medical marijuana. So listen up on the radio, call in. It'll be live. We'll have a great time, and I hope to hear from you.
Yeah,
7
it's
p.m.
good to hear from you.
When is that time again? 7 p.m. Sunday night?
This Sunday night, 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. So it's a 3-hour show.
And so that's on KPOJ. That's 6:20 a.m. Right?
6:20 a.m. on your radio dial, or you can go to
Progressive Voice of Portland.
Yeah, you can go to am620kpoj.com.
So your show is going to go national here in a couple of months, isn't it?
That's right. This show that we're doing Sunday is part of what we're recording for demo material for the promotional packages to sell the show nationally. So yes, we'll be starting nationally on the weekend of April 7th. I just don't know which stations or what time yet because we're still selling the show.
Sure. For our viewers out there that don't know, this is Radical Russ Belville, and he won a national talent search contest to be Air America's new national radio host.
Well, it's actually not under Air America.
It isn't?
It's part of the Jones Radio Network is distributing it, and it's the Center for American Progress, which is the liberal progressive think tank.
But it's networked into Air America. What's that other guy in Nebraska or North Dakota?
Ed Schultz is one of the Jones people, as well as Bill Press and Stephanie Miller, although we don't get them out here in Portland.
Yeah. So is that a whole different network of radios outside of Air America?
Well, Air America is kind of like one big corporate that owns a bunch of stations, whereas Jones is a syndicator that sells to independent stations. So
I
it's
see.
kind of different animals, but both the same business, Progressive Talk Radio.
And they're allied, so to speak.
They are non-competitive corporations. I'm not going to go as far as to say allies. There's politics in all,
I understand.
activism, as you know.
There's a reason they warn us to stay out of politics and religion.
That's right, and that's what we're going to be diving right into on the show. So here we go.
All right.
Well, Russ, I want to get in line to be a guest on your show one of these days.
Absolutely, I'm signing up people for interviews. I'll actually be at the Marijuana Policy Project symposium out in April, actually May 20 or 420, April 20th. In Washington, D.C., so I'm hoping to get Bruce Merkin from Marijuana Policy Project as well as some other high-profile drug policy people to interview.
Great.
So, yeah, we're lining that up, too.
Good. Well, keep up the great work, and we'll see you soon.
All right, thanks, guys. Thanks for letting me kind of get an ad on the air here. Thank you.
So that's at 7 p.m., right? On Sunday, on AM 620 here in Portland.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
He's a talent, and I'm glad he's using it.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that, because we're doing really important work here in Oregon. Our medical marijuana law is a model for the nation, and we don't have a national voice until now. So now Russ is going to go forward with our message here from Oregon on a national level, and I think it's going to make a tremendous impact. I am super excited about what's happening to him. He's like an enigma.
Yeah,
yes.
I agree.
Yes.
For our Oregon viewers, there are a couple of bills out there that we want to make you contact Oregon state legislators in Salem concerning. One is Senate Bill 767. That would set up a state medical marijuana garden so that low-income patients and patients who need a supply of cannabis can get it at low cost through a state store run by Oregon State University. So you want to call your state representatives and senators that work there in Salem and urge them to contact to support Senate Bill 767 there and oppose the other bill out there that would mandate or allow employers to fire medical marijuana patients without cause. That's Senate Bill 465. So you support 767, the big jet plane, 767, and oppose Senate Bill 465. So I urge our viewers to do that. We do have a caller, though. Hello, caller. You're on the show.
Hey, how you doing? I was just calling to say hi to Don.
Hello, Jeff.
Hey, how you doing, Don? Just remind him that I'm here to help him do whatever he wants done when he gets his project going.
All right. Well, it's a small world after all. Thanks for calling.
Okay.
For our viewers out there, if you have a question or comment for us tonight, give us a call at 503-288-4448. So I'm pretty excited about Senate Bill 767. I know Oregon Normal has been pushing that. Now Senator Morissette from down in Springfield has introduced it.
Yep.
So
he's our champion in the legislature.
Yeah. So we really need our supporters to contact their senators and urge them to support that one and oppose 465. And if you're up in Washington and you're watching in Seattle or Spokane or Vancouver, where this show also plays, you want to contact your state legislators in Olympia and urge them to support Senate Bill 6032 because that will protect patients. Currently, the law is interpreted differently in different counties, and more than half the patients in the state are subject to arrest if they run into law enforcement. This new bill will protect them. So we need to support Olympia, Washington, Senate Bill 6032.
There was a Yakult, Washington patient that was arrested, charged with possession and manufacturing. He was exonerated when he went to court.
Well,
totally exonerated. The judge says, just get out of here.
Good. That's what should happen. Hopefully that'll filter down to these
to the
officers
Clark
who
County,
want to persecute.
Washington Sheriff's Office.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I'd like to just comment on the state garden proposal, which is now a bill, and
767.
I think a lot of people don't quite understand what we're talking about.
Yeah, why don't you describe it?
And, I've had the opportunity to sit down with the authors of the bill, Madeline Martinez, Melody Silverwolf, and Alicia Williamson. And, you know, we had a process where we went through. They asked me to come over because I have experience growing large fields of marijuana, as you know. And, you know, we sat together and we figured out, we thought it might take 100 acres, 200 acres, you know, an enormous amount of land to pull this off. But we realized it's only going to take 20 acres of marijuana to give every patient in this state an ounce a month. And this is entirely doable.
Yeah.
And they have a farm in Mississippi that the federal government runs. It gives out sticks and stones is what the patients call it. It's
but it gives out
swag.
16 ounces every 2 months, or about
300
8
joints.
ounces.
Right.
Yeah, about 8 ounces a month is what the federal government gives its patients.
I think we'd rather have 1 ounce of ours rather than 8 of theirs.
Yeah, I think.
And
you're
in
right
Canada, the government's tried to get into the medical marijuana business unsuccessfully. Holland as well. No patients in Holland want the government marijuana unless they get it for free from their health insurance. But in Oregon here, we will have the opportunity to grow some of the best marijuana and give it to the patients for medical reason and do it with the state's approval and help. And this is unprecedented. So I think it's really important to acknowledge that, you know, the work we're doing here in Oregon is so unprecedented in the entire planet, and it's very important that people support everything positive that comes down, knowing that our work is very effective and has impact.
All right.
I have to say that I have reservations about the state growing my medicine.
Well, the thing about this law is it won't require the state to grow your medicine.
Right. Doesn't
It'll
take
still
that right
allow
away.
anybody to grow their own. It'll still allow anyone to name a caregiver, any caregiver they want. The one thing it changes is it sets up a state garden where patients can go if they don't have any place else, or if they want something outside of what they've got.
This state garden would have to be a lot better quality than the Mississippi state garden.
Well, I'm suggesting it will be
Yeah.
because of the advisory committee of which people like me would likely be on, and we would oversee the production and make sure the quality was high and so on and so forth. But
And who's going to teach the state guy to grow this? That's what I want to know. Who's going to teach it?
well,
I
it
know
will
one
have
of
to
the
be
state
qualified
guys, a
people.
professor in agriculture at Oregon State University, and I can tell you, his brother can teach him.
The plant, you know,
brother
plants are
could
His
plants.
brother can teach him.
All
His
right.
brother made a pair of shoes for me, so I know his brother can grow some good ganja.
All right.
And I'll give him some good strains too. We gave out some good cuttings last week at Oregon Normal's once a month medical meeting, but I understand they have to turn people away at the door, and that's got to be disappointing for the folks who are turned away. Next month, I'm making a lot more clones to give away, so I don't think anyone will get turned away next month, at least when it comes to getting a baby plant. And I'll say that here and now. But I guess we do have a caller. Hello, caller. You're on the show.
Yes, gentlemen, curious. If 465 fails to pass, which we all hope,
Yeah.
where is the legal standing at that point? You know, my husband
We're
has
in
been
limbo.
a carpenter for 10 years and was fired a couple years ago by his employer for failing a UA. They rehired him back. He's obviously not partaking any longer, refuses to get his card because they've made it perfectly clear to him if he does, he will lose his job.
Yeah.
So where does it go from there?
Well, right now, the way it works is this new law would make it where they can fire them without even
Right.
drug testing.
For having
Right.
the card,
Just for having the card.
Yeah.
The way it is currently also is if a patient has a prescription for Marinol, which is a pharmaceutical
Right.
drug,
Then they have
then they
to
can
let him
test
test
positive, regardless of what their job. You know, if they have the state approved Schedule
Correct.
3 synthetic Marinol suspended in these little gel caps that are mainly sesame oil, they
Right.
have that. Then they can test positive
Correct.
for marijuana. And you know, we know a number of doctors who can help patients get prescriptions for
Okay,
marijuana.
yeah, because I
help
mean, he's at the point. I
medical-
mean, he won't even consider getting his card because he's scared. I mean,
Right.
we have to
well,
have
you
a
know, he's
pay
got
our
his own
bills,
reasons,
you know.
and he's
So,
got to make his own decisions.
Correct.
But,
are there any bills going to be coming up that would prevent employers from
you know,
firing?
there aren't any currently out there. In fact, the bad one, Senate Bill 465, has now been passed by
Right.
Oregon's Senate and is referred to Oregon's House.
Right.
And I think it's going to die there, but we need to call our legislators, the
definitely.
ones
Just
in the
did that
House of
yesterday.
Representatives in Salem, and urge them to oppose Senate Bill 465. And the way it stands right now is it's at the employer's discretion after drug testing. The way the bill is written is they wouldn't even have to drug test. Just if they had a card, they'd be able
Right.
to let somebody go.
But You know, and my whole thing on this is I love how it's okay for us to all go take all these heavy narcotics, but not do anything natural to medicate our bodies and be able to work. And, you know, maybe we're not technically considered disabled by their books, but, hey, too bad we're hardworking people and, you know, try to get by every day and still go to work.
These people are very short-sighted. They're thinking about their short-term corporate profits and who can contribute to their campaigns and how to demagogue for the most money.
Exactly.
And so, you know, what we always say here, and what I've been saying for years, is it isn't about marijuana and it's not about drugs. It's about money and the continued centralization
most definitely, and that's
of
been my
economic and political
stand
control.
for a very long time.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys, and we need to get something on there once this fails to make it so they can't fire people.
You know, I think
they
this,
can't fire
Senate
you for
Bill
having prescription for
767.
Vicodin. How come they can fire you for having prescription for marijuana?
Yeah, it's wrong, but we can now help patients get Marinol prescriptions, but that's still kind of a nasty way to have to do it.
All right, well, thank you, gentlemen. Thanks for all you do, and keep up the good work. And everybody, write to your legislatures.
We have a video that we're going to run down. Oh, thanks for your call. It is George Cervantes' Ultimate Grow DVD. George Cervantes is a Portlander, and he has written a book, Indoor Marijuana Horticulture. He's come out with a new version, Indoor and Outdoor Marijuana Horticulture. I got to say, when I first grew my first indoor crop, I did exactly what that book said, and I did very, very well for myself way back when. And so George Cervantes' book is one of the best. He supports us, and in fact, he's given us permission to play this here on the show and encourage and donated a lot of his books to us over the years, cases and cases of them. So enjoy this clip from the Ultimate Grow DVD.
Whether cultivated indoors or outdoors, hydroponically or in soil, cannabis requires light, air, water, nutrients, a growing medium, and heat to manufacture food and to grow. For optimum growth, the light must be of the proper spectrum, intensity, and duration. Air must be warm, arid, and rich in carbon dioxide. Water must be abundant, but not excessive. And the growing medium must contain the proper levels of nutrients. In this DVD, relying on my decades of experience, both as a writer and grower, I'll teach you how to manage these processes and keep your garden productive, efficient, and green. In nature, cannabis is an annual plant, completing its life cycle in 1 year. A seed planted in the spring will grow strong and tall through the summer and flower in the fall. The annual cycle starts all over again when the seeds sprout the following year and includes 4 distinct growth stages. During germination, moisture, heat, and air activate hormones within the durable outer coating of the seed. Soon, the seed's coating splits, a rootlet grows downward, and a sprout with seed leaves pushes upward in search of light. The tiny seed will have to develop into a self-sufficient seedling quickly if it expects to flourish in the outside world. Seedlings require 16 to 18 hours of light to maintain strong, healthy growth. Vegetative growth lasts from the moment a clone or seedling takes root until that same plant matures enough to begin producing buds. Cannabis plants will remain in this vegetative state for as long as they receive 16 to 24 hours of light per day. Cannabis flowers when the days become shorter and plants are signaled that the annual life cycle is coming to an end. This occurs naturally outdoors in the autumn, but must be regulated indoors by the grower. Flowering is triggered by giving plants 12 hours of uninterrupted darkness and 12 hours of light. When fertilized with male pollen, female flowers will produce seeds at this point in the life cycle. But left unpollinated, a seedless or sinsemilla crop will grow. Later in the DVD, I'll explain sinsemilla growing along with other basic techniques growers use to increase the yield and efficiency in their gardens, including a process called cloning, which guarantees all your plants will be females. Also, we'll show you the best methods for taking your fully grown buds through the harvesting process of cutting, trimming, drying, and curing that will ensure the grass that you grow in your own garden can compete with the best smoke in the world.
Invest a day of your time, a little bit of money, and you can grow buds just like this. Hi, how you doing today? I brought you into this little garden that was put together by a grower in a single day. It can also be taken down in less than a day if need be. You can make a garden just like this one and put it together just like this grower did in one single day. Come with me and find out how. Here we are inside of an 8x8 grow room, or what's about to be. What we've done is we've framed up the bottom with 2x3s, and we'll build a complete 8x8 grow room right in front of you.
The best location for a grow room is in an obscure corner of a basement, where it's easy to maintain a constant temperature year-round. Basements are well insulated by concrete walls and soil. An attic is also a good location, except for the possible heat buildup. Few people venture into an attic that is difficult to access. Outbuildings, garages, and barns not attached to homes are some of the worst places to grow cannabis. Security is much easier to maintain when the garden is within the home. Productive growers have two distinct rooms within their grow operation: a vegetative cloning room and a much larger room for flowering plants. As the Trailer Park Boys from Canada can tell you, some of the best pot in the world grows in trailers.
I want my kitty. Frig off, Bubbles. You gave me the cat. I didn't say you could keep him, and I don't want him living in a fucking car. Bubbles, you've got tons of cats. Let me keep him. He was a loner. I loaned him to you. Well, I need him. Look at my weed plants. One of them's dead. I don't give a flying fuck. I didn't never said you could keep him. What the hell are you doing waking me up so early? No cat of mine's going to live in a car. Julian? Both of you guys, shut up! Ricky won't give me my kitty. Ricky, give him his cat. It's my cat now. I don't care. Give him his cat. Look, see that? You know why that plant's dead? Because a squirrel peed in it. That's why I need the cat. It protects my weed plants. I got 4 plants left, guys. That's all I got left in my life. Please let me have one cat to protect my plants.
Okay, I'm framing up a little grow room. Most people won't have to go to this extent, but they'll have to have something similar. So we're building, basically, a mock grow room. Walk up. Okay, now. Let's measure in between these studs. We're just doing this approximately. And watch the dreadlocks. They can get caught up. I'm putting this on here just to stabilize this stuff. 31 inches. Just quite a bit sturdier than it was before, yeah? And we're ready to start mounting the vent fan.
All right, that's an excerpt from George Cervantes' Ultimate Grow Guide. I think he's done a pretty good job. You know, back in it was 2001, Cervantes invited me out to breakfast and said, you know, George Bush won, I'm getting out, and moved to Barcelona, Spain. He's been there ever since, but there you have it. I think we have a phone caller who's been standing by. Hello, caller. You're on our show.
Well, good evening, gentlemen. How are you this evening?
Hello. Very well. How are you?
Well, I wanted to say a couple of things.
Okay.
Chris, you are a hard man to get a hold of. I've got a pain patient pharmacist, and she is also the the chairperson for the Pain Commission for DHS. And I've been trying to hook up with Normal, but they don't seem to return my phone calls. And I think she'd be a great asset. She's pro-marijuana, and she's with one of the biggest organizations here as far as pharmacies goes, and they know all about her activity. And I'd like to hook you guys up because I think she'd be a great asset to you. And I've got just a wonderful doctor that I also have to take a certain amount of pain medication from where I'm at as far as my health. But I thank you guys so much, but I wanted to touch upon Mr. Cervantes. Everybody that's been around a while probably remembers his store out on, I think it was Foster, wasn't it? That little island
out there about 97th and Foster. You know, the day the federal government launched Operation Green Merchant in 1988, the next day George closed his store.
Yeah,
and I can understand why, because I do have friends who got caught up in Operation Green Merchant. In fact, I'm looking at a guy right here who did 9 years in prison for Operation Green Merchant, and we were co-defendants in federal court, but I was acquitted.
Oh,
I went
wow.
to trial.
Yeah, you know, one thing I loved about that store, it was such a homey effect, and you know, George didn't do anything wrong. Same thing with Tom Alexander with Sensitives that later formed Grower's Edge.
Yeah, that's still going.
Oh, I know. And I remember one of the first, I think it was the first issue, he said, well, from now on we'll just talk tomatoes, you know, and they went off into hydroponics.
He's done real well with that. That magazine's very popular.
Oh, it's great. In fact, they give it out at Urban Floral for free.
Wow, okay.
And I'll tell you one other thing I wanted to say, too, and I want to leave my number or something so Chris and I can hook up, or I can hook you up.
Well, you know,
with her.
call our office. The office number will pop up there in just a
Boy,
second.
you know, when I call the office, I'll give you an idea.
Well, you're going to leave a message. You know,
Oh,
nobody's
okay.
going to be there. It's pretty busy.
We've
But
called-
leave a message, and we'll get it to them at least. I
Okay.
mean,
We
we'll
called
get around to it one of these
twice
days.
today trying to get a hold of how to get on to get the password for the hemp.org.
Did you leave a message?
Oh, well, no, we talked to people.
Oh, you got person. Okay,
Yeah,
you got
and
the password then.
One person had never even been there, and the other person, boy, she was so doggone busy, but she gave me the best information she could, but it either the server's down or something. I don't know what's going on. But we
Well,
can't
the
seem
thing
to
is, you
get
got
on
to
it.
enter that password a couple of times.
Oh, okay.
You got to enter it once, and then you got to enter it again, and it's the way it is. It's supposed to protect patients' privacy.
Oh,
we want
I
to make
know.
sure
It
that no
looks
one else
great.
can get in there and look at our patients' information. So that's why it's that way. But keep giving it a try. Don't give up. Call and leave a message for Chris, and we're going to let Don give his editorial. If that's
Hey,
okay.
how do I get a hold of Tim Pate?
Same way.
Same way. Call
Same
the
way.
office.
All right.
There's
Thank
the
you.
number, 503-235-4606.
Gotcha. Thank you
And
very
we'll
much.
give it out again in a minute.
Thank you, Tim.
You're
Bye.
welcome.
Okay, Don, you're going to talk about predators.
And talk about the predators, the people that control our lives, our drugs, and our foods. Because you know the line between the huge multinational corporations, these Halliburtons, Bechtels, Monsanto, DuPont, and the U.S. government has blurred to the point where there really is no difference. The corporations and the government have become one. I will refer them then as to what they are, is they are predators. If you feel like a fish that's been hooked, reeled in, chopped up, pockets emptied by the government, you should. If you feel like a shark bait, you are. Because it's about greed, it's about power, and it's about money, and most of all, they're trying to control the population of the United States. A long time ago, Chairman Mao said a lot of bullshit, but one of the things he said was, power comes from the barrel of a gun. Well, what he's talking about is control. That's very in-your-face kind of control. These government people are more sophisticated, they're more conniving, they're more underhanded, they're totally dishonest, they're condescending. They look down on us as poor fish and stupid fish, and they see themselves as elitists. George Bush, in a speech to his supporters, referred to his supporters as the haves and the have-mores. The government has become totally infiltrated by these government corporations because the FDA, which is Food and Drug, the USDA, which is Agriculture, and the EPA have, and this is up to and including the vice president of the company, Halliburton, they seem to run the logistics for the military and are taking us taxpayers to the cleaners in the process. And yes, George Bush, too, if you check his family's connection to the pharmaceutical companies. It's the reason Bush won't let pharmaceuticals be re-imported from Canada, because he is the enforcement arm for the profit at any cost, profit at sick Americans' expense, so they, the government, corporation predators, have almost all of these drugs under their control, because you cannot get a prescription without their permission and at their price. If it's too expensive, that's tough. So with all the drugs you must have mostly under their control, they started working for total control by genetically engineering your food. Without your consent, for the last 10 years at least, you've been eating genetically engineered food. 80% of the soybeans, 80% of the canola, 70 to 80% of the world's cotton is genetically engineered. And here's where the line blurs between the government and the companies, because the EPA, the FDA and the USDA, in conjunction with Monsanto, DuPont, hold 13 patents on genetically engineered food and terminator gene technology. Terminator genes means that the crop produces one crop, and then that's it. If you can't produce another crop, then of course you got to go buy the seeds from Monsanto. So if your genetically engineered corn happens to be in a field next to free corn, this wind pollination is going to terminate that crop too. Buy from Monsanto, DuPont, or die, and thanks USDA for your participation in this crap. How devious and how low will they get? They give away seeds in these food aid to foreign countries, for instance, Ethiopia, Afghanistan, and when a farmer gets a bag of seeds, he's hungry, he wants to plant them. And he does, and when he does, Monsanto rubs their hands together gleefully in anticipation of more power, more control, and more money. These same predators in our government now allow patents on living organisms. You know they clone on animals. You know they want to clone humans too, so they can grow body parts for transplants. I'm sorry, sir, but our patented transplantable livers are $200,000 apiece this year. Could you please pay in advance? Is there anything these predators fear? Yes. They fear marijuana. In spite of their best efforts to make it illegal worldwide, it's still around in abundance. They fear it because they can't compete with it. They fear it because you can grow it yourself. That means you can control your own medicine. They fear it because it has no bad side effects. And they fear it because it's not addicting. If they ever figured out how to genetically engineer these marijuana seeds, well, we're going to have trouble with that. And remember that in Genesis, God gave us all the seeds and the herbs and the plants to man to use, and as diligently as I have searched, I haven't found Monsanto, DuPont, or any of these companies mentioned anywhere in the Bible. So stick a few of these marijuana seeds in your pocket, plant a few in the ground, and go hide the rest. And that's the way I see it tonight, right down here on M Street.
All right. Thank you, Don. That's a pretty good one there. We do have a caller. Hello, caller. You're on the show.
Yes, I was wondering, where can I purchase that DVD that was seen earlier throughout the show?
You know, just about anywhere. On the internet, you can get it at stores. One of the things about cable access television is we have to remain completely non-commercial.
Oh,
so
okay.
that's one of the reasons we get to do the show is we can't be overtly commercial. And so go out there and do a web search. I know George Cervantes' website is marijuanagrowing.com. So you can hook up with him directly by going to marijuanagrowing.com.
And I have one more question. So I was wondering, where can you get some female seeds from?
Say that again?
Female seeds?
Well, you know, seeds, you really can't tell by looking at the seed whether it's male or female. There's some people who treat it with hormones to make it female, but you really can't just, seeds are either male or female. You can't tell until you put them into the flower cycle where they get less than 13 hours of light a day.
Okay. You know, there's female seeds being sold on the internet from companies in Europe and Canada, but unfortunately to import those here into America is illegal. So unless you know someone here in the States, or in Oregon actually.
But most people can still get them through the mail. I mean, you know, some of them are seized, but I would say 90% of them get through.
Just be careful.
Yep. Hope that helped. Thanks for your question. I have the show and tell bottle of the week here. This is a little nifty bottle I'm going to show you. It says Cannabis compound, and this held 500 little cannabis pills from the Stoddard Company, manufacturing chemists in New York City. It's even embossed here in the back with the company's name. It says it's one tablet after each meal, and at bedtime will help for neuralgia, insomnia, depression, mental and physical exhaustion, nerve tonic, and a stimulant right there. It's a nifty bottle from 1898. It's been used a long time, this cannabis stuff has. Yeah. You know, if you are out there and you think that you or a loved one may qualify for medical marijuana, we have doctors all across the West who can help patients who have qualifying conditions get a permit. And we have a referral service. You also can get involved in the movement to end adult marijuana prohibition and restore industrial hemp. Contact our office. We have offices across the West, too. And our main office is here in Portland, and the Portland number is 503-235-4606. That's 503-235-4606. We can get a doctor referral, give you a lot of other information, too. Even though we are kind of busy, as he said, we keep trying. Now, if you're up in Seattle, the number in Seattle is 206-878-1701. That's 206-878-1701. For our viewers in Denver, we have another number, and that is 303-403-9996. That's 303-403-9996. And if you're outside of Portland, Seattle, or Denver, and you're watching the show on YouTube, it's on YouTube, and you can watch it on YouTube anytime you want. Just tell your friends. Go to YouTube and enter Cannabis Common Sense. But you can call us at 1-800-723-0188. That's 1-800-723-0188. And we have doctors who can help you or a loved one that has a qualifying medical condition get one of those permits just by giving us a call.
When do we play in Seattle?
Every Thursday night at 11 p.m. on Channel 77 in Seattle.
Channel 77.
In Denver, it's every Tuesday and Thursday night at 11 p.m. on cable channel 57. Now, it's on cable. If you don't have cable, you can't get it. In Vancouver, we're on every Saturday night at 11 p.m. That's every Saturday night. That's Vancouver, Washington. Not Vancouver, Canada, but Vancouver, Washington. And we've just got on in Salem now. So we're on every week in Salem. We got to thank Paul Stone for his help on that. And we're on every Wednesday night at 6 o'clock in Spokane, Washington. So we're getting out there farther and farther. And there are the conditions right there. The one that most people have is chronic pain. Chronic pain. But nausea, too, is another common. AIDS, glaucoma, irritable bowel syndrome, seizure and spastic disorders, asthma, GERD, which is gastrointestinal illness, hepatitis C, Crohn's disease, and cancer. Any of those qualify for medical marijuana recommendations, and we can help patients in Oregon, Washington, California, Colorado, and Hawaii. So give us a call.
I'd like to do a little show and tell of my own.
Yeah, you brought this new hemp milk.
See if we can get that.
Now, that's being made in B.C., but it's distributed right here in the River City, Portland.
Yeah, I think this is one of the greatest hemp seed products out there on the market today, with the exception of the whole hemp seed. It's made from seeds grown in Canada. The company is here in Portland. You can get it at any health food store, and it's amazing. It's better than rice milk. It's vegan milk, animal product free. People drink soy milk, rice milk, almond milk. This is the best one out there, and it's made from hemp. So go get yourself some. And they have chocolate milk, too. And damn, that's good.
All right. Whole hemp seeds are really good, too.
If we could just quickly tell the viewers about our next round of workshops we have coming up. The Hemp and Cannabis Foundation. Maybe we can get that graphic up on the screen. We have workshops starting in April every Wednesday. They're going to be every Wednesday of every month. So you know that we have workshops happening every Wednesday at the Hemp and Cannabis Foundation, starting in April and continuing into the future.
And currently, that's just at our Portland office, where we're going to start offering them in Seattle and in Denver in the next couple of months.
Right.
Hey, there's the.
So we've got the beginning gardening class coming up on April 4th. Then we move into an outdoor gardening class, an advanced gardening class, and finally administering medical marijuana and understanding the law. So really great classes. You'll learn how to grow some of the best medicine in the world, and they're only $10 each. So come on down and join in on all the fun.
And they're even less than that if you sign up for the whole set. Half that price, I think.
And we're doing it Sunday. If you're watching this show,
right?
This coming Sunday, which is the 18th, we'll be there teaching classes.
The day after Green. St. Patrick's Day.
St. Fatty's Day?
St. Patty's Day. I'm proud. St. Fatty. Oh,
St.
Fatty. I
Day.
get it now. I'm a little slow sometimes. You know. Well, is there anything you guys... I think we're coming up to where we should let Tim just play songs and look at dank buds. What do you think, Chris?
Sounds like a great close to me.
Okay. Is there anything you want to say to our audience in closing?
Just many blessings to everybody.
Thanks. What about you, Don?
Good night, Ramona.
And I want to urge everyone out there to get involved and help us restore hemp. Okay, Tim.
Sunday at the waterfront, there's a peace rally.
That's right, Sunday. Here in Portland, there's a War on Peace rally at the South Park Blocks in downtown Portland at 1 p.m. That's the South Park Blocks, downtown Portland, 1 p.m. for peace, and I'm all for peace.
That's right.
Peace.
Peace, man. Love.
You know, I do want to wish everybody a happy Fatty's Day, St. Fatty's Day.
All right.
Actually, you know,
I'm going to be showing the
not
green
wearing it,
myself.
they ought to be at least smoking it tomorrow, you know.
Vaporizing.
Oh, that too, you know.
Right.
Good night, folks.